Welcome back to Lesson 1. In this portion of the lesson, we will discuss how ethics and the law interact. Many times businesses are governed by not only laws within their state that they operate, but also federal laws and international laws, especially for some of the global companies we have. Now, that being said, laws do not cover all areas. It'd be impossible to have a law for every possible decision someone can make. And that's where ethics come in particular business ethics. As you can see there on the presentation, it talks about how the law is rife with ambiguity. And that can be said even if there's a well-written law, oftentimes there's gray areas. And companies that have strong corporate cultures and strong ethical cultures tend to handle those gray areas very well, while others tend to walk the thin line between legal and illegal activities. Now, many companies that have operated both nationally and internationally have run into some kind of lawsuit. And as you can see there, there's constitutional law, statutory law, administrative regulations. There's lots of examples, but you can see there the case of Sara Lee. Great example of how they claimed a product was organic, yet only about 15% of it was actually organic. You can see many instances of that, in particular with the retail industry, with consumer product type businesses, where the labeling of products can often be misleading. And I think nowadays you probably see a lot of that low fat, when indeed it's almost all sugar, so eventually the sugar becomes fat. So those are just good examples of how there's no law against it. They follow the laws, but that might not be the corporate socially responsible thing to do. So many cases of businesses behaving unethically has led to new sets of laws or acts, and probably one of the most famous ones is the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. And that was kind of in response to some pretty high-profile scandals that occurred, where not only the shareholders were affected, but employees and other stakeholders involved with the companies. And really, what the Sarbanes-Oxley did is it gave some guidelines on what records need to be stored and for how long, and that just provides a traceability trail for companies. And I think a lot of that, if companies are being transparent and are being corporately responsible, this is probably just a formality for them. Where companies that tend to walk the line, they try to follow these laws just to the letter of the law, because they do operate in that gray area a lot more. Okay, and as we were talking about that gray area of ethics law, you can see there one of the great examples, Tylenol, 1982. There's many instances where companies don't act necessarily right away. In this case, Tylenol didn't necessarily pull things off the shelf as soon as they should have. You probably have heard that a lot with like car companies like Toyota and Ford, where they have a safety recall, and it takes a few incidents, sometimes hundreds of incidents, before they actually take action on that recall or put out the warning. And so that again, that's a gray area. It's not necessarily illegal. They tend to be able to show that they didn't act illegally, but they probably acted unethically and probably not in the best interest of the general public. Okay, and that's it for this portion of the lesson.